Oh, wow, my volume ain't where it wasn't on. Ha! Hey, Jessica, how's it going? Um, Currently, I'm on halfway through chapter 6 of Saga of Grimsson Book 3, Revenge of the Wendigo. I'm kind of right in the middle of a scene here where Grimson and his few of his warriors had run into a bunch of Sasquatch while they were hunting these things. And these Sasquatch had gotten their young and elderly annihilated by these things, and Grimson literally just killed one of the big W that was about to attack another. So they're coming up with a piece of cord as they're hunting these things down. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's. I'm having fun writing this one. I've been bouncing back between this one and my western. I'm working on Cody Barrett, the start of a legend. Today I kind of felt like working on this one, so I wanted to get some of it done, which I'm going to have to upload it on my Patreon later. 1 through 5 will be on the be for tier 1. 6 through 10 will be on tier 2, and then 11 and up will be tier 3. So I mean, all of them. So tier 1, how I do my books is tier 1 gets chapters 1 through 5. Tier 2 gets chapters 1 through 10. Tier 3 gets the whole book. So what are you doing, dude? Quit chewing things up. I'm already missing a charging cord to my freaking watch, which I'm pretty sure you have something to do with. But yeah, I'm just kind of, I haven't done a live in a while working on one of my books, so I figure I'll come on and do that real quick. They're making their way to the lowlands where it's warmer. Buffalo. And we're out hunting. Who remain. He said they. Speaking of which, I need to do a. Need to finish this up because I redid chapter 5. I need to go back through and listen to how it goes. I haven't done it yet because I got caught up on a deal in here and just ran wild. So I'll be here in a minute. I'll be playing where you can probably be able to hear it on here. I'll be playing the readout of chapter 5, means I redone part of it. There, finished that part up. Let's go ahead and see how this sounds rewritten. Let me know if you guys can hear this in here because when I play it, because normally you guys can. So let me know if you can hear it.
Chapter 5, Death Comes. Acatiles and the first became uneasy. Death was coming for them, and this would be a fight like none of them had ever been in. None were sure if they could survive this encounter. Acatiles could not get an accurate count on how many of the creatures were coming for them. Sensing the fear building up in the men, he decided to speak. I know that victory is far from sight. These things are not natural and are demons, but we are Drenger of the Traveler. We are the ones who hunt what lurks in the dark. We keep those safe that cannot protect themselves. The people of this land need our aid. Let us send these things back to hell. The platoon roared their approval. They each readied themselves for whatever fate waited for them. The demons came in hard and fast. Each of the first prayed to whatever god or gods that they worshipped. The first Wendigo hit the formation with such force that it almost collapsed the testudo. The first quickly snaked out their spears and re-strengthened the formation. Shortly after that, one by one, the creatures slammed into the formation. Some unseen force aided the first in keeping the testudo tight. The first was successful at holding the first of the attacks at bay. The white ash mixed silver and blessed spearheads and shields seemed to be doing a great job at keeping the Wendigo from continuous pressure on the formation. They could hear the skin of the creatures sizzle as they made contact with the shield formation and with every slice of the spear. Acatiles and the first began to push back the creatures, and the tide started to turn. Finally, they were landing disabling blows and were quick to set them to blaze. When it seemed like they would be winning this fight, the tide shifted again. One of the first lost their hold of the formation and was ripped away, leaving a gap in the testudo. One of the creatures made its way inside the testudo and killed 8 warriors before it was taken down. Acatiles shifted the formation and had them tighten up the testudo to reform it tight once again. He knew they would have to attend to the dead Dranger before they turned. Just as he was set to burn the dead, some of the Wendigo came in and took the remains. They disappeared in the direction of the cave, and this, for the most part, confirmed the location for Acatiles. He needed to get his warriors to that cave and save Sigrid if possible. Sadly, these damned lesser Wendigo were keeping them from doing this. He needed to come up with something soon, or he and his warriors would tire out, and all would be lost. He looked for any opening, for any hope, something to change the tide and aid them on their mission. He could find nothing. Suddenly, he was drawn to a noise. It seemed familiar. Looking around, he could not see what was making it. Then, he felt a pull to the heavens. He looked up, and a twirling vortex of dark clouds was above them. He smiled as he realized that the hope he was searching for was now above their heads. Hold tight, lads, and brace yourself. Death will rain down from above for these foul creatures. No one move, lest they be killed as well. Hold tight and hold the testudo, he said over the mayhem of the fight. Each of the first grunted when they heard him. They each braced themselves and pulled their spears in. The Wendigo halted their attack. They seemed to be trying to figure out what was happening. Acatiles clenched his teeth. These fucking things are smarter than we gave them credit for. They must retain their humanity once they change, or at least some level of it. Each of the first watched with anticipation as the cloud of death built up its strength. Then out of nowhere, lightning began to rain down on the creatures. No matter how hard they tried to escape these bolts of death, they each were hit. 13 of the creatures lay dead and smoking on the ground. Acatiles rushed his warriors out to commence burning the remains. He did not know if it was necessary, but he was not going to take any chances. They rushed out and did as they were ordered. In moments, all the Wendigo remains were burning. What remained of the first continued with their mission. The ones that were just killed had Acatiles hoping that they had taken a large chunk out of their numbers. They had no idea of the count, and this bothered him. Either way, they will need to continue to practice caution. Acatiles and the first were within a quarter mile from the cave. Acatiles halted the first. He studied the area. Something did not feel right. It was as if they were led into a trap. Then it hit him, they were led into a trap. Before the first could form a defensible formation. Death had come for them, and many of the Dranger were taken. Screams of horror and pain filled the night. A large creature about 10 feet tall came for Acatiles. It took a swipe at Acatiles, but he was able to duck the attack. He swung his sword and sliced open the belly. The Wendigo screeched out in pain, but Acatiles stood his ground, a beacon of bravery in the face of danger. Acatiles looked around on the ground for more weapons. He was in a fight for his very life with a creature that was very hard to kill, if not impossible. He caught a glare from the corner of his eye. It was a shaft of a spear. He sheathed his sword and lunged for the spear. Upon grabbing it, he rolled to his knees and got the spear up in time to run the head into the chest of the beast. The metallic screeching sound that it gave out in pain hurt Acatiles' ears. The creature retreated from the battlefield and other Wendigo poured in like a flood. Acatiles heard someone call to him. He quickly looked around. He had fear and regret in his eyes. The realization that death was coming for him took root, and there was nothing that he could do to stop it. He found the source of the person calling out to him. It was Sigrid. He had gathered the survivors and formed them up, a testament to their unity in the face of adversity. Acatiles quickly made his way to the formation. Growls and screeches came from all around them. It seemed to be more of these things than they had originally thought. Akatiels found himself in a dire situation, with victory seeming like a distant dream. The only choices before them were to fight their way back to the fort or stand their ground and face certain death. After a brief contemplation, Akatiels made the decision to start the perilous journey back to the fort. They moved cautiously, maintaining their testudo
A light came from nowhere. As Achiteles was blacking out, he saw a massive bird come from the sky.
This daggone thing did it again. Hey, everybody, sorry about that. I lost everything for a moment. Give me a second here. I want to try to share this screen so you guys kind of look at what I'm doing when I'm working. I'm about to have enough of this biosat internet. This thing is starting to really piss me off. This gives you kind of a rough draft of what I'm doing while I'm working. Let me get back into it. But yeah, I found myself.
Guy and shoot lighting at these beasts that came for their blood. Achiteles felt a massive hand grab him and drag him from where he fell. Achiteles knew that the creatures had got him, and this would be the end for him. Achiteles' eyes shot open, and he sat up. He looked around, and he was still alive. He was back in the fort and lying in his bed. He started to question if this was real or if this was his imagination. Off in the corner of the room, he noticed Sigrid asleep in a chair. His arms were crossed over his chest, and his head was bent over his chest.
Why can't I go back to the original sound that I had? Hey, Boar. How you doing, buddy? Yes, hello. Hello, you turd butt. Oh, easy now. Easy. All right, let's get back. I can't, for some reason, won't go back to the voice I like to listen to when I'm reading, hearing this.
Anger began to take hold of Achilles. Here sat the bastard that caused the death of several of the first. Before he could react, a massive hand was placed on his chest and pushed him back down on the bed. Achilles looked up and noticed it was Grimsson. Grimsson was staring at him, shaking his head. No, take not your anger out on Sigrid. He did what I wanted him to do, admittedly a little sooner than I had planned, but nonetheless, he did as I ordered him to do. Grimsson looked out the door. When I was taken off guard from my old enemy and was taken from the fight, that did not allow me to tell anyone of my plans. I knew that the best way for us to...
Yep, caught a mistake right there. Where did it go? Where did you go? Right there. That's why I like to have this thing read out to me, because that way I can catch if something don't sound right.
Tell anyone of my plans. I knew
And
that
fix
the
the
best
correction,
way for
make
us to
corrections.
sneak up on the Wendigo was for someone who was not living, nor were they dead. Grimsson turned his sights to Sigrid. Our friend Sigrid was brought back from the other realm for this purpose. I knew that this day would come, and I wanted to make sure that we had whatever tools that we needed to defeat this demon. Grimsson turned back to Achilles. I had my wife Ira bring him back from Valhall to aid us. His true name is Bjorn Ironsides, and he is my brother. His time is coming to an end, and his return to Midgard is coming to an end. My dear brother performed the task that he volunteered to, and soon he will return to Valhall with our father and brothers. A tear rolled down the cheek of Grimsson. He could feel Bjorn's energy fading, and he will never be able to bring his brother back again. He would not be able to see him until his mission is done on Midgard, and he can go to Valhall with his grandfather Odin. Sigrid's eyes shot open.
Quit.
His breathing had become hard. Grimsson rushed over to him and held him in his arms. Sigrid looked up at him and smiled. It is my time, brother. I must return. It was good to see your ugly face once again. I will let your mother Brenda, your father-in-law Samson, your wife, Alva, and your children, Gunnar, Brenna, and Olaf, know that you love and miss them. I will tell them of your tales of adventure. When I see our father and brothers, I will tell them tales of your life as well. We all shall drink and feast, remembering you and telling stories of your life. Sigrid coughed violently, and Grimsson held him tight to his chest. Sigrid looked into Grimsson's eyes and smiled. Sigrid began to flake away, and the flakes rose to the heavens. After 5 minutes, Sigrid was gone, and his brother Bjorn Ironsides returned to Valhall. Grimsson cried and sat there for a while. Achilles watched everything that happened and was taken aback by what he had witnessed. Never in 1,000 years would Achilles ever believe that what he had just witnessed was real, let alone possible. This removed him from all his beliefs and made him question all that he knew. He, like all others who lived on and served Valhall Island, heard the stories of how Grimsson and Ira had become immortal. Achilles and some of the others just chalked it up to tall tales. Because of their christened beliefs, they knew Grimsson's immortality was a curse from God Almighty. Now, he is not sure that this is true. He watched his king as his pain and sorrow took hold of him. He now had another level of respect for this man who had lived several lifetimes of loss, and he still fought for us mortals. After a time, Grimsson wiped the tears from his eyes and got up. Achilles, although his pain racked through his body, stood as well. When he stumbled, Grimsson was there in a flash to aid his friend in standing. Achilles shook his head no and painfully knelt to a knee and bowed his head. King Grimsson, forgive me for ever doubting your origins. I have learned much in these last few moments, and I am unworthy to be an officer in your military. Tears streamed down Achilles' face. I can only hope that you can forgive me, and I will start from the lowest level and work my way back through the ranks. Grimsson smiled and placed a gentle hand on Achilles' head. Rise, General Achilles. There is nothing to forgive. You are a great leader, and I want no other leading this fort but yourself. Come and get dressed. You must eat and drink to bring back your strength. Achilles went to speak, but was cut off by Grimsson. Grimsson just smiled and waved for his friend to come. Achilles got dressed and savored each painful movement as he got dressed. He figured it was the pendency of the sins that he committed while doubting King Grimsson's past. Once he was dressed, he followed Grimsson to the main hall, where all had gathered to feast and tell stories. When they walked in, Achilles was greeted with love, and it was welcoming. They spent the night taking their minds off of the present danger that lurks outside the walls of the fort. It is good to take a moment from the negativity so that they can fill themselves with positivity. It was good, and it did wonders for Achitelles. He slept where he fell and was awakened by Grimsson the following morning. His head was swimming from the feast the previous night. Grimsson laughed and handed him a horn of ale. Achitelles drank down the frothy liquid, and it aided in his recovery. He stumbled as he got to his feet and followed Grimsson. All the officers of the fort were in the war room and seated at their respective seats. Grimsson walked over to the seat that once belonged to Marcus. Grimsson smiled and waved for Achitelles to take that seat as the commander of the eastern outpost of the New World. Achitelles hesitated for a moment. He did not believe that he had earned this respect and doubted his ability to lead this outpost. Grimsson just smiled and looked at him with his hand still motioned for him to take this mantle. Achitelles took the seat, and Grimsson patted his shoulder before taking a seat himself. It was time for them to come up with their next move and for Grimsson to relay the info that Sigrid, Bjorn Ironsides, had gathered. They talked for most of the morning, but they decided that the push to corner them in the cave was the best choice so far. They would burn them in the cave, and Grimsson displayed the box that was created to hold the spirit of the true Wendigo for all time. Chapter 6, Scouting and
Give me 1 second, y'all. My daughter's calling me. Give me 1 second. Got to take care of the daughters. So that was chapter 5 after I redid it. I don't know what you guys think on that. But I'm kind of. Chapter 5 is called Death Comes. And they're getting ready to do a full out assault on these, the big W that is basically killed a lot of their people, a lot of people in the tribes around the area. In 6 here, they actually killed a bunch of Sasquatch as well. So that's actually where I'm left off. I'm on. I've got 53 pages going right now, 16,776 words. I'm roughly 2, 4. I'm on page 5 of 8 of chapter 6 at the moment. That's kind of where I'm at on that. What'd you guys think of that? Is that kind of... Come on, mouse, do what I want you to do. There we go. That may bring it up where you guys can see the screen a little bit better. Can you guys see that screen okay on your end? I'm not sure if you can or not. Was you guys able to hear what that is reading out? They're reading it out. Shit. We got a dog back here being a typical puppy. Quiet. The puppy wonders why everybody don't like him. It's because he's a butt towards them. Crap. Sorry I missed people in here. My internet's been doing some weird stuff. I'm getting tired of Biosat. I'm thinking about if I can get the money canceling Biosat and trying to go with Starlink or something. From what I'm understanding, it's a little bit better. But these last couple lives I've had nothing but issues with on this internet, and it's really starting to aggravate the holy living crap out of me. You guys got any questions on what this is or what I'm working on this one? I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between this one and Cody Barrett, The Start of Legend. And Cody Barrett is the Western that I've been working on. I've completely revamped it. It is now 100% as if Cody Barrett was telling the story himself. I'm hoping this is something that y'all's going to like. I could play a chapter out of that, let you hear it. I'd like to know what you guys think on that. Let's go to chapter 1. Here's chapter 1 of Cody Barrett.
Battle of Little Blue River. Know thyself, know thy enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. By Sun Tzu. I am Cody Barrett, a sergeant in Missouri's Iron Brigade. We are Missouri's best Confederate cavalry. Brigadier General Joseph O. Shelby is our commanding officer. I have been riding with them since the formation in 1863. We were camped a couple of miles outside of Independence, Missouri, on October 20th, 1864. We had been chasing Major General James G. Blunt's Union forces. They were holding a bridge across the Little Blue River. I was lying against a tree as I looked at the past. I am from Pineville, Missouri. I lived next to the Little Sugar River. The Ozark Mountains are a place of beauty. They are filled with magic and wonder. I worked with the Testermans. They were the second family to settle in McDonald County, Missouri, and the first to be wed there. They lived in Pineville and owned most of the land in the area. My wife Martha was related to them through marriage. We shared cattle and worked the land together. I closed his eyes and smelled the pines and the water in the air.
Oops.
The sound of the birds in water flow.
I just realized I messed something up there. Haven't had a chance to go through and review this one yet since I've redone it. So maybe a good
I closed my eyes
chance
and smelled
to
the
get
pines
first
and the
one
water
done.
in the air. The sound of the birds in water flowing over the rocks. I could see my wife Martha and son Abel. Often, before battle, I would do this routine. It helped me to remember what he was fighting for. A smile came across my face as I thought of home and my family. I missed them dearly and could not wait to see them again. A horse whined in the distance. I opened my eyes and saw everyone preparing to leave. Johnny Cobb walked over to me, warning Cody. Is it time already? I asked with a hint of sadness. Yep, I brought you some coffee, Johnny said while holding out the cup of hot coffee. Thanks, Johnny, I said with a smile. We will be heading out soon. Best be getting around. The general says them Yanks have set up on a bridge over the Little Blue River, Johnny explained to me. You ever...
Now, the good thing about this book is this actual Battle of the Little Blue River, truly took place here in Missouri, out by Independence, Missouri. So you can actually go online and look up Battle of the Little Blue River, which was a Confederate victory during the Civil War. So this is where I started this book. Now, the interesting thing is I actually had to restart this book from scratch. I'd literally started this 20 years ago. And I thought this was one of the many writings that my ex-wife had lost. So I pretty much had to redo this book from scraps of memory. I've recently found the scripts that I originally wrote for this book. I don't know how, out of all my writings, this is the one that survived. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages of what I started on this book here. So I'm kicking around. Do I want to incorporate what I've already written into this book, or do I want to create a new character for the next book, or incorporate this into the next book? That's kind of where I'm kicking around. But the original writings I want to incorporate into it somehow. But if you look up the places I talk about in here, the reason why I use my family's name is not because it's my family, because it is historical truth. So this is a historical fiction Western. This is actual places, actual times, actual event, actual people, all this stuff is, you can find it. It's in history of these locations. You know, my family was the second family to settle Pineville, Missouri. The first ones to get married there. We were good friends with Jesse James and the James gang. I mean, we fought alongside with them. So, I mean, all this stuff is incorporated in this book. Is actual historical truth. Now, there's a lot of fiction to it as well, because I'm creating a story. So, even though I have actual factual truth, there is still fiction in it. So that's why it's my historical fiction cryptid hoarder. Hello, Ida. No worries. I decided to come on live earlier. I've been working on a couple books. Cody Barrett, Start of Legend, Saga of Grimsson Book 2, and I ain't going to say the name again because I've already said it too many times, but the Revenge of the Big W there. I'm kind of going over, letting everybody listen to the first chapter of Cody Barrett, kind of explaining a few things on this to let you guys get an idea of how this book is set up. But this was literally one that I started 20 years ago that I thought. So it's going to be fun. Every one of my books, you can actually find the locations, find the events that happen, because I always add that stuff into my books. And I take reports that I've heard, like on my historical fiction cryptid horrors. The reports I've heard, I've incorporated that into my books as well. The learning that I've done when I'm researching on these cryptids, when I write my historical fiction cryptid horrors, they're all take from my research and my hearings. So whenever I talk about, the Big W or Sasquatch or the Yeren or the Yeti or the Kraken or this or that is because this is actual events that happened in time, and I just kind of morphed them into my own reality and put them into my book. So even like this one here this is the third of my historical fictions that I've written. The Dolph's Book 1, Land Beyond, that was a historical fiction started my Mountain Man series. The book I'm getting ready to release soon, Viking Age, Secrets of Mercia, is an actual historical fiction. Cody Barrett, The Start of a Legend, it's another one. Hey, Ryan. So that's why I love putting actual places during them time frames. So I research, when I'm researching something for my books on a location. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, buddy. No kidding. That's about true. When I'm actually researching for a book historical time frame of a book that I'm writing on, I actually research what is in that location during that time frame, and I pick one in Viking Age. I picked the town of Borg. It was an actual time that was around in Norway during 1892. Now, did I morph Borg into what I wanted it to be? Yes, but I incorporate the terrain features of that land and everything. So even though there is fiction in it, there's a lot of truth that's in it as well. So that's one thing about my writings that I love to do. So even my science fiction, my In Her Jar Book One Emergence, every planet that I talk about in that book, I give you what NASA calls it, and then I tell you what we call it. And that way you can actually go on NASA's website and look up that planet. And I'll study that planet in the description of that planet, and I talk about it in my book. Then I talk about how I terraform it and blah blah blah. I mean this, that, and the other thing. This is even my sci-fi has elements of truth in them. So this Western here, the Cody Barrett one, everything we've listened so far in this one is an actual place, actual time, actual event, and we're just starting out in the Civil War during the Battle of the Little Blue River. We'll get back to finishing listening to this one.
Never get tired of fighting, Johnny? I asked as he sipped the hot liquid that passed as coffee. Johnny expelled some air. No, I cannot say that I do. I have nothing to go back to. I expect I will die fighting. Nothing left but that for me. Well, I am. I have a wife, a kid, and land that needs me. We have been fighting so long that I fear I may be a stranger to them now, I told him while looking at the ground.
Now here you start to hear how Cody is really contemplating what he's doing in this war. I mean, the Civil War went for a long time. There was a lot of deaths involved during the Civil War. So I wanted to project Cody's feelings coming towards the end of the Civil War and how he becomes, to set up how Cody becomes Cody. Okay. So this is why I wrote this in here is I wanted people to feel what Cody was feeling and to understand how his mind was and what led him to make the decisions that he made. So this is your kind of witness right here. Hey, he's thinking about mortality. He's thinking about the future. He's thinking about his wife, his kid, his land. I mean, he's thinking about this stuff going because he's getting tired of this war. And you're going to see this progress in this chapter, which is building up to what leads and what horrific event happens to Cody to turn him into what Cody is going to be now in the start of a legend.
Hell, Cody, you are no more a stranger to them than you are to me, shrugged Johnny. I had to chuckle at that while I sipped on my coffee. Timmy, the drummer boy, came up to us. Morning, Mr. Barrett. I have your horse ready. Would you like me to saddle him for you? Timmy, how many times do I have to tell you? Call me Cody, not Mr. Barrett, I said with a stern face. Sorry, Mr. I mean Cody, Timmy said sadly while looking at the ground. That is okay, son. Sure, saddle that old shin biter, I said with a chuckle. Timmy smiled and gathered up my saddle and horse blanket. Johnny chuckled. You going to take him back to Pineville when this is over? The thought has crossed my mind, I said while I shrugged. You might as well, the boy has taken to you, and the Redlegs killed his kin, Johnny explained over his cup of coffee. Yeah, you have a point. Will you be coming with me? I asked Johnny. Johnny looked up to the morning sky. Maybe, that is if I survive.
I'll have to look into that one, Ryan.
Hell, Johnny, you will outlive all of us. You are too damned mean to die at a young age, I told him with a sly grin. We both laughed, and I got his boots on. Then, I buckled my pistol belt
I just realized there's something. Like I said, I've changed this book up to kind of tell this Cody telling the story. So
we both laughed.
This has helped me. I need to go through and make sure I corrected everything.
I buckled my pistol belt around my waist. I used my slouch cowboy hat to dust my pants off before putting it on my head. I downed the last of my coffee and tossed Johnny the empty tin cup. We both headed to our horses. Timmy was there with a big smile on his face. Now remember, Timmy, When the fighting starts, find a safe place to
Yeah,
hide.
that'd be great, bud.
When the fighting is done, and we settle in, I will help you practice your shooting, I told him with a smile. Thank you, Cody. I will find a place. Do not worry about me. Just kill them Yankees, and I will see you when it is done, said
Yeah,
Timmy
we're
with a
great.
big smile. I smiled and climbed up on my horse. I looked at Johnny, and we headed to.
So this is kind of rough look into the Cody Barrett, the start of a legend. Do you guys like hearing that as in he's telling a story of his life? Is that something that you guys like to read or listen to on audiobook? I'm kind of curious on that. And I wrote this differently than all my other books because I wanted that aspect in there. I thought it'd be cool to write something that was, instead of somebody telling the story, it was the actual person telling the story. I didn't know what you guys thought about that. Here on Saga of Grimsson, Book 3, Revenge of the Big W, I'm getting set up for an all-out big event that's happening. And so this is the chapter 6 is called Scouting and Preparation. And basically what's going on is they're trying to track these things down. And they just got their asses handed to them. The first platoon just got their asses handed to them, trying to go out and scout these things. Grimsson had gotten took out of a fight. He was in a big fight with them, was taking one down big time. And the true Big W came out of nowhere, blindsided Grimsson, and took a large chunk out of his neck. So that took Grimsson out of the fight. So Akatiels had to come in, step in, and try to do things. Sigrid, which people didn't know at the time, was the reincarnation, the short reincarnation of his brother, Bjorn Ironsides. So if you guys have read Saga of Grimsson so far, book 1 and 2, Grimsson is the what's a polite way of putting this? Is the untalked about son of Ragnar Lothbrok. And he was a great warrior, and he often raided with Ragnar, and Ragnar doted on him. But the two butted heads like crazy because they're too much alike. Him and Bjorn Ironsides were very good friends. Well, Bjorn Ironsides knew that Grimsson was his brother, but Grimsson was not sure. He just heard people talking about it, but he wasn't sure. It wasn't until later on in the book that he finally realized and came to terms with the fact that he was the illegitimate son of Ragnar Lothbrok. So therefore, if you go by the stories, some will tell you that Ragnar is the son of Odin. The other stories will tell you, something different. This character Grimsson is based off a theory that Ragnar was the son of Odin. And therefore, Odin is known as the Wanderer. In this book, when he talks to people, he doesn't give out his real name to them unless they're really close to him. So he's known as the Traveler. So in book 1, you'll hear where Odin says, where I am known as the Wanderer, you shall be known as the Traveler. And that's how this came about. So you're going to see a lot of this tied together when Odin sends him back and gives him immortality to fight these creatures of darkness and evil and hate in order to win his right to go back to Valhalla. People don't realize Valhalla is what Valhalla was actually called. It was actually called Valhalla. So when you hear me talk about Valhalla, that's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to Valhalla. So the land of the realm of the slain, the honored slain, in Hajin. And all this plays into effect. In book 1, his family, his mother, his wife, and his kids were killed by Draugr, which spiraled Grimsson downhill big time. And he had a bear cub that he was raised with that Ragnar gave him at a young age, and them two grew up like brothers. And Bjorn in Norse means bear, so Grimsson called him Bjorn. When they died fighting a massive Draugr, and Odin sent Grimsson back, he bestowed the life and the abilities of his friend Bjorn in him. So he is actually a true form of the berserker. So he'll have berserker rage, which is part of one of his treatments, but he takes it a step further and actually transforms into this massive 20-foot brown bear, short-faced brown bear. So if you read the books, and when he hits his bear transformation, if you actually listen to it, the descriptions are a short-faced brown bear. And that's why I wrote it that way, is I wanted that element in there, because Bjorn was a special kind of bear. He hasn't had a brown bear like Bjorn ever since, and that's because Bjorn was one of the last of the short-faced, and somehow he was on Norway, and Grimsson and him were raised together. They were so close, and they'd fought in so many battles, so that's why Odin gave him the gift of Bjorn. So when he does his third transformation, his third ability, he actually literally transforms into a massive short-faced bear. And that's one of his abilities to help aid him in fighting all these creatures, these cryptids, these supernatural entities. I mean, he fights vampires, he fights everything. And there's been a lot of times his berserker rage has been all he's needed. But there's been times he's got his butt handed to him to the point that he had to transform into that brown bear to help turn the tide of the fight. So in this one here, they just got through coming across a massive site of a group of Sasquatch that were just slaughtered by these big W. And upon inspecting it and finding out what it was they were actually looking at is when a couple of these other ones came out of the woods with their handmade spears pointed at them, trying to figure out what's going on. So now you're hearing the conversation, and Grimsson just saved one of them from a big W that was about to attack him. So now you're going to start seeing where they're going to start combining forces to aid each other in getting rid of this menace that's on the land. Now, this is called Revenge of the Big W. I'm not going to say the name again, because in book 1, Grimsson had fought and defeated this thing before. This takes place about 400 years after Grimsson had fought and killed it. It's released. Now, in the first part of the book, you're going to look to it through the mindset of the big W. I wanted to add that factor into this book. I wanted to kind of like you are the big W, and you're going through its feelings, its thought process, and what it's wanting to do, and you're living that through this book. So the first part of that book is going to take place with that going on, and I think that's going to be something that's unique from the other ones. Wow, my youngest daughter's in class right now. She just texted me, said Miss Olderman said she would love for you to come in during Urban Legends section in December and talk about Bigfoot. So now I've got my daughter is a senior in high school, and her teachers are wanting me to come in and talk about these things. So I didn't know they were teaching. They never taught that stuff when I was in school. So the fact they're actually teaching that in school right now is kind of cool. I'll go and do that. I told her, it's okay. I'd love to. But this is kind of how these books are set up. I've kind of set Saga of Grimsson books aside for a little bit because I ran into a writer's block on it. That's why I got to work on Cody Barrett, changed it up. Now I've got my next couple. Well, I just finished chapter 5 and rewrote it, and now I'm working on 6 now. So now I'm back up to where I'm going. So as I come up with ideas when I'm writing, I'll switch books because that's what I'm doing. That's why I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 books that I've either worked on or working on. And I've got notepads here for every single book that I work on. So each book in the series goes on the same notepad as the previous one. But that's why I keep these notes, so I can keep things in mind. Like I'm writing stuff down now for, what takes place in here, so I don't lose track of what I'm doing. So, honey, you are being very mouthy. Well, it's not my fault. You're up there. I don't know what to tell you. But you're being a little rude right now. You need to learn your manners. Well, you do. And yes, you do. You got to learn your manners. Come here. Come here. Sorry, guys. She's being talkative. Come here. Yeah, come on. I got something for you. Come here. Come here. Yeah, you want this? Yeah, hold on. Give me a second, guys. Let me grab her. She's being a butt. Dude. Can't walk. You got running right into my feet. Come on now. Yeah. There you go. Okay, maybe she'll be quiet on that one. She'll get Snow going. I don't know what her deal is lately. She's been, oh my gosh, she's been such a pain in the butt lately. I don't know what her deal is. She didn't want to climb out of a tree the other day when I got home from work. I had to literally go up, walk up next to her for her to decide, okay, I'm going to come out of the tree now. She was in that tree and just didn't want to come down. She was giving that god-awful meow that she was doing now. All right. 9. Stoppa. 9. Yeah, you know better. Sorry, I had to get on to the other cats. But so this is kind of what I do when I write. So I love taking this stuff and welding it all together into a beautiful piece of art. So I really hope you guys, when you read this one, really like the aspect of the Big W, being in the mind, being a Big W yourself, and in the mindset of it, on the best way that I could think of how they act. And I wrote this on a lot of my research when it comes to this stuff, on how these things act. I mean, there's plenty of research that tells you that they're very intelligent, they're very smart. They they can think, they can out think you even. So I wanted to incorporate all the stuff and how they eat and they build their strength and stuff like this. So I took all that and created, this guy here, and I put you in his head. So when you go to read this, you're actually it. You are reading it from its point of view. So I'm hoping that's something that you guys like. That's something I may start doing in some of my books. Last night I couldn't sleep very well, and I was thinking about my next Inharjar book, and I'm kicking around taking a centurion that was captured and DNA modified to set loose against the Inharjar. I'm kicking that around. Something like, these creatures came back long, many, many years ago and found this centurion and captured him. And through this whole time, they've been genetically modifying this dude to make a badass warrior that eventually will come to the side of the Inharjar. So I haven't quite decided yet. That is one. I've got some concept of my next sci-fi book down in my thought, but I have not nailed anything down yet. Right now, I want to try to get some of these other books done. I mean, I'm working on a lot of books right now. A lot of them. I need to get Cody Barrett done. I need to get Death's Harbinger done. Death's Harbinger is my comic book / sci-fi, book. Basically, a Marine in Iraq. Him and his unit was taken out by the Taliban, and thanks to the aid of the CIA, and he makes a deal with death to become Death's Harbinger, and he's coming back and hunting these people, and he's got the mentality of a Marine, but the psychopath of death being Death's Harbinger combined together, and you get to hear what this is like for him. So I've got quite a few chapters of it written. Dark Angel Medical's in that book. But you're going to hear, this dude is take Freddy Krueger, Jason, Voorhees, and all these guys combined into a Marine that has let loose, and that's Death's Harbinger. I mean, that's one of those things, right? I mean, that is yeah, I mean, it's something to be cool to do, but I get what you're saying at the same time. What's up, my brother William? Not much. We just got through editing chapter 5. I'm about halfway done with chapter 6 on Saga of Grimsson Book 3, the Big W. We listened to a little bit of Cody Barrett, the Start of a Legend, and how I've rewrote that. We listened to a little bit of that, kind of give everybody an idea what that book's like. I'm back here on Grimsson now. I'm a little over halfway done with this chapter. So we're just kind of working. I'm kind of explaining how this stuff is written, why I write it, the history behind those things, the actual places, actual times, actual events. Like in this one here, in this book, you actually get to read part of this chapter or two of this book where you are actually the Big W itself and how it's thinking and stuff. And that's all based off of research, based off all my studies and understanding. So it's the best way that I can put somebody as close to in the mind of it as I can. Is that there? I hope it's a cool way of doing it. If it ends up being a hit, then I'll probably start doing that with a few more books. Was that good, honey? Well, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, well, you can get down. You don't need me to get you there. There you go. See, honey, you can do it by yourself. You're quite capable. The other things. So, in a way, yes, Ida, but in a way, no. So, when he was killed, his hate and his anger consumed him of how he and his men had died and were betrayed, and so death comes to him. And it's like, I will give you life if you feed me souls. Become my harbinger, and you will not die. And that's so take Ghost Rider, take a bunch of these comic books, kind of throw them together, and you're getting kind of an idea of how Death's Harbinger came about. It's just a different outlook, a different time frame. Like he comes up to this dealer, this drug dealer and gun trafficker in Springfield. I mean, and he's straight freaking Freddy Krueger's this dude. I mean, he's scared, and he fear is what brings him power and helps him gain strength. So, and he uses it. He brings fear upon his victims to allow him to be able to go in and do what he does. And he starts, singing this weird songs like 1, 2, I'm coming for you. Just starts Freddy Krueger and the shit out of this dude. So it's fun. Yes, in a way, yeah. Do you guys want to hear part of that to kind of get a nice an idea of what I'm working on? Yeah. But he actually fights death. He doesn't want to. He doesn't fully commit to death's grip, and he actually fights death. And he's like, "Look, I'm going to feed you the souls that you want, but I'm doing it my way. I'm not taking the souls that you want me to take. I'll give you the souls that I choose to give you." And this is how this guys are. If you guys want to hear a part of that book, let me know. I'll put it up and we'll play it. I mean, I don't have an issue with that one bit. Try to find it here real quick. Okay. Here it is, Death's Harbinger. I haven't worked on this in a while. So I've got 12. I'm working on 12. I've got 12 chapters of it done right now. So I'll play the introduction and a little bit of the first chapter to give you kind of an idea. No, it isn't, William. It isn't. And you'll hear that in here. I mean, he struggles.
Introduction. The time is 2:45, April 9th, 2016. Location, Shikan in Afghanistan on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. Team Raven, a mixture of 6 U.S. Marines and 6 Navy SEALs, has been deployed in the River Delta. Mission to find and eliminate a Taliban stronghold, then extract. They had got word about a possible stronghold with heavy firepower. They believe they are about to target key locations in Afghanistan to gain a foothold in their holy war. On April 8, 2016, 2100 hours, a briefing was held. The briefing was conducted by a man in black fatigues who referred to himself as Agent Black. He would not disclose what agency he worked for and why he was there. Gentlemen, I am Agent Black, and I have just got intel on a Taliban stronghold. He clicked the remote to fire up the death by PowerPoint he had prepared for us. SGT. Riley leaned over and whispered in my ear. Hey SSGT, want to bet this joker is sending us on another wild goose chase. My name is Eric Black. I was born in St.
Oops, I forgot to change some stuff up. I've got to get in here because I changed these names up. So all these names are different. So these names won't be the same when I'm done.
St. Joseph, Missouri. I moved to Charity, Missouri, in 1991. I graduated from Buffalo High School in Buffalo, Missouri. It is, for the most part, a quite little farming town. There is not much to do there, but we do have other places where we young kids like to go to raise cane. Buffalo is north of Springfield, Missouri. When I graduated, I went straight into the Marine Corps and never thought twice about it. I would visit my family when I had leave saved up, but mostly, I stayed on base. After boot camp and 2 years in my fleet unit, I married my high school sweetheart. Abby was a kind, fun-loving young woman. She loved life and was always helping people in need. Her parents loved me like a son and had hoped I would marry Abby and take over the family farm for them. I wanted to serve my country before returning to farming beef cattle. They did not fight the issue and have been very supportive. The Clomes and my family had been friends since we moved down here. Abby and I were stuck like glue from the first moment that we met.
Hey, Don.
I think something is off about this SGT. Something does not feel right, said Eric. Well, that may be so. SSGT, we will see soon, said Riley. Chapter 1, Traitor in Our Ranks. After the briefing, SSGT. Black already did not like this. SSGT. Black and SGT Riley met with Petty Officer 3rd Class O'Connell and Petty Officer 2nd Class Bryan. They walked to a secluded location. You Navy rats feel like something is wrong about this, asked Eric. Yes, we do. If a crayon-eating jarheads could figure it out, what makes you think we cannot? Laughed O'Connell.
I just realized a mistake. I've got to go through and edit this and work on this.
If crayon-eating jarheads could figure it out, what makes you think we cannot? Laughed O'Connell. Do not forget my peach crayons this time, motherfucker, laughed Eric. On a serious note, I do not like the feeling of this. The last thing we need is a spook telling us what to do and where to go. I agree, we will need to stay frosty on this. I do not trust spooks, and I do not trust this intel, said Bryan. What should we do? Asked Freely. All we can do is go on this mission and keep an eye out for anything out of place, said Eric. They all agreed and headed out to inform the rest of the team. At 2200 hours, the team was briefed, and they were checking their gear. At 22:30, they were loading onto the Sikorsky CH-53E Super Stallion. The CH-53s are well known to leak hydraulic fluid. It is a commonly known knowledge in the Marines that if your CH-53 stops leaking hydraulic fluid, you have a very important plan that you must follow. First, spread your legs. Secondly, put your head between your legs. Lastly, kiss your ass goodbye because if it stops leaking, you are going down. They walked up the rear ramp and looked at the ceiling where the rotor was. Pausing for a second, they all looked for one thing and one thing only. They all stood there, and then it happened. A drop of hydraulic fluid dripped down on the deck of the bird. They all smiled. Boys, we got a good one, someone called out. They all laughed. As they sat down and buckled in, Agent Bosfor and a couple of others dressed like him came aboard. The Marines and SEALs all watched them as they walked past them and headed to the front of the bird. The Marines and SEALs shook their heads, sat back, and closed their eyes. It is a well-known fact that any service member, especially the U.S. grunt, will sleep at the drop of a hat when they have just a moment of downtime. SSGT. Black often told the other branches when asked about that. We sleep so we are rested when we have to rescue your asses after you fuck up. Sometimes, the other branches laughed when he told them that. Sometimes, they did not. SSGT. Black did not care. After all, who will mess with a Marine grunt? The CH-53 powered up and lifted off the ground in moments. It took them about 45 minutes to reach their landing zone. They were being dropped off 5 clicks from their objective. The Marines and SEALs debarked and set up a 360-degree paramotor while waiting for the CH-53 to disembark from their location. SSG.
Cool.
Black motioned for CPL
Looking forward to that,
Davis
bro.
to come to his location. CPL Davis was the team's comms guy. Black grabbed the handset for the N/PRC-158, also known as the Pride 158. Raptor, this is Raven, come in, over, said Eric into the handset. Raven, this is Raptor, send it, over, said command. Roger, be advised we have reached the LZ, break. We will be heading to the location in 2 mics, over. Solid copy, Raven. We will be waiting for your next communication, out. SSGT. Black handed Davis back the handset. He made a quiet clicking sound with his mouth. Everyone turned to look at him. He held up 2 fingers, which means columns of 2. Then he staggered both his hands, which means staggered columns. Then, he took one hand and made a short chopping motion to the east. This means in that direction. One by one, they filed into the staggered column formation. Both the Marines and the SEAL intertwined together. They all watched the areas all around them. Eric and Davis were in the middle of the formation. The spooks were in the front. O'Connell and Brian brought up the rear. Occasionally, they circled while scanning the area and tracking along the designated route. They moved slowly and quietly. After they went 2.5 clicks, Eric halted the team and motioned for them to get low and find cover. They all did as they were commanded. The right side guarded the right side, and the left side guarded the left side. Eric spent a moment looking and listening. Satisfied that no one was in the area, he motioned for Davis. Davis handed him the handset. Eric keyed up the mic. Raptor, this is Raven, come in, over. Raven, this is Raptor, send it, over. Roger, we have reached the halfway mark, break. No signs will continue, over. Solid copy, Raven, be advised, SAD is picking up massive movement at the objective, break. Possible larger activity, use caution, over. Solid copy, Raptor, will adjust to new intel, any suggestions, over. Negative Raven, unclear on the activity, proceed with caution, out. Eric gave the handset back to Davis. He then looked around. He reached up and tugged at his collar. Brian and Reilly made their way to him. Listen up, Raptor has reported massive movement at the objective. We must proceed cautiously and adjust at the location, Ura. They both whispered Ura and left to inform the team. Once all was informed, Eric motioned to CPL Masters, who is running point, to move out. They all slowly got back into formation and continued to their objective. At 2:45, they reached their objective along the river. The spooks did not say anything. They just left the team and headed out to do their own thing. Eric and Brian looked at each other, puzzled. Brian mouthed the words "what the fuck" at Eric. Eric just shrugged and pulled out his NVGs out. They hummed to life, and he looked through them. He counted 20 Taliban soldiers with RPGs, .50 calories, and AK-47s. He scanned the area and did not see the spooks. After a moment, he decided to line the men up in groups of 2 to cover a large area. He knew his men could shoot a lot better than the Taliban. He decided the first group would fire through their first mag. While they reloaded 3 seconds later, the second team would fire. This would continue down the line and then start over. He placed them 10 meters apart. If this worked the way it should, It would confuse the Taliban soldiers and make them think that the shooters were moving around. After each team shot their first mag, the odd number would fire in order first, then the even numbers would. Eric and Brian were on the first team. They carefully picked targets and engaged. Each carefully shot their 30-round mag and ducked back down. The Taliban opened fire in return. 3 seconds later, Team 2 started to engage.
Oh, crap. Can you guys see me now? This damn thing. I'm going to have to unplug it for a little bit, I think. Yeah. That's kind of rough look on Death's Harbinger. It has. That's why I'm so pissed. I've got Viosat, and I'm seriously thinking about going to Starlink. I'm really seriously thinking about going to Starlink. I'm getting tired of this crap. This is happening so much. So I don't know. I mean, if I can't have something reliable, then why the hell am I paying the money to have it? This thing has worked good this whole time, and here recently it's just started acting up. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. I've unplugged it, let it sit, and I mean, I've done so much stuff with it. I don't know. I'm going to have to give them a call. Like I said, that was a quick look into Death's Harbinger. I've got a lot of work still to do it because I'm rechanging a few things on it, changing some names and stuff like that. So Um, this is actually the second time this has happened on my live today. That's aggravating. Let me pop this back up here. Okay, good. Yeah, that's working. The thing is I'm going at 94%, so I don't know why the hell it's dropping. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think? I mean, that's my comic book / sci-fi, whatever. I don't even know what to classify that as right now because it's got a little bit of both in it. So I really don't know what to classify it as right now. But I'm having so much trouble, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to unplug my internet, give it a break, and then I'll see you guys tonight on William's show. Looks like, let me pop this up here. Let me pop this up. So we're going to be talking tonight on his show about mirrors and portals, along with very interesting conspiracy theories. So if you guys ain't already, go to William Nighthawk's YouTube channel, William Nighthawk 6630, and give him a follow. Yeah, it could be, man. Yeah, it could be. I'm just going to unplug it for a little bit, take a break, step away from it, and then try to get it fixed later on. But thanks for joining me. I hope you guys liked what whenever you could, view it. Liked what I'm working on so far. We kind of took a look into 3 different books that I'm working on right now. I've got several I'm working on. To give you kind of a look on 3 of them. Sunday, I'm going to have Ryan Paul Tremblay on with me. And we're going to be talking about the Big W. And, tomorrow will be the normal campfire chats with Eric guests. So if you guys had any recent encounters or any other encounters you want to share, man, make sure you come in and give us a holler. I'll be on tonight, tomorrow morning, Sunday morning with William Nighthawk on his High Strange podcast. Strangeness podcast on, like I said, YouTube, William Nighthawk 6630. So go over there and give them a follow. We'll see you tonight. So until next time, guys, peace, love, and blessings. Yeah, no, I went up to that already. Wow. I haven't checked it today. I think I was at 400 yesterday. Somewhere around there yesterday. I haven't been paying attention, honestly. That's cool. 404. Awesome, man. We're 96 from the 500. So, 500, I'm going to have to do some giveaways. So we'll kick this off and have a good time. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you tonight. As always, peace, love, and blessings to everybody.